Hey guys, welcome to another Defender user group session. Want to remind everybody that we do have Chatham House rules that apply here. So when in a meeting or part thereof, it's under the Chatham House rules. Participants are free to use the information that they receive, but neither the identity nor the affiliation of the speakers nor that of any other participant may be revealed. If you guys have not become a member yet, please go on and take some time, raise your phones up, take a screenshot of this, or go to the URL that's in the QR code and join us for the Defender user group. Just a little intro to the group itself. This is just a community driven group where we're trying to bring participants in to share information about how to use Microsoft security to its fullest, given real world experiences as far as how they relate to Microsoft Defender, and then also giving you comprehensive information of how to apply that in your environments. During the sessions, please feel free to ask questions, things like that. This is about the user group itself. This is about the community. It's not just something where we're just putting on kind of a show with having guys with fancy backgrounds show up to kind of give you a discussion. If you want to contact us about any subjects that you would like to actually see in the future or anything that you want to actually raise, please reach us at doug@ontenu.io. If you want to go back and actually look at any previous sessions in the chat, I have posted the Defender user group channel. It's on YouTube. This is any of the previous sessions that we actually had. So if you missed the one with Alex Luig, where he was actually going through Defender for IoT, please go watch that from the previous time that we were on together. Also, if you'd like to check out some other things, a lot of us sit around our desk and have a lot of time where we can't watch a video or we can't watch something streaming live. We do have a podcast that is called Defend Your Time. This is just another short informational series of giving you information, anything from Microsoft licensing to other subjects that might be of interest, similar to what we do here at the Doug. Coming up before we actually announce who's speaking today, do want to kind of give you guys a little preview of what's coming up in June. So we do have Rod Trent joining us in June to talk about Security Copilot along with other AI pieces. So this is how Security Copilot redefines generative AI for cybersecurity professionals. This should be an exciting session, but I don't want to downplay the session that we have today because we have two very talented people on with us today that's going to give you a great session as well. And I want to introduce them now. So Alan and Michael are with us from ScopeWise. Alan is an MVP. They're coming here to actually take and present to you just kind of an attack disruption, what it really does, how to stop threats in real time, required products configurations to ensure seamless cross-solution automation, and how to validate that attack disruption is actually working in your environment. This is a lot of questions that a lot of people have currently and stuff. And then also real world examples of how the disruption attacks across identity and endpoints in cloud. So Alan, Michael, I will turn it over to you guys now.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Welcome, everyone.
Daniel.
Great to see you all here in the session. Michael will start sharing.
Yeah, just give me a second. You should see the slides.
Yes,
Yes,
good.
we do.
Will you start to have a few words about you, Alan?
Yeah, sure. Just very, very quickly. Daniel did saying the most. My name is Alan Schneider. I'm working for ScopeWise, based in Switzerland as a partner and solution architect on cybersecurity stack on Microsoft. And as you can see, I'm super branded with some shirts and swag. So that's it. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, feel free. If you want to get in touch, just drop me a direct message. I'm good with that.
Thanks. My name is Michael Riffley. To keep it short, I'm Alan's partner in crime, managing company and working the security stack of Microsoft Cloud products. So I think we start. One word ahead. If you have nothing planned for the 20th of May 2025 so far, there is a an interesting event in the Swiss Life Arena of Zurich in Switzerland. If you're based in Switzerland or nearby, maybe you want to mark this in your calendar. We have a great speaker lineup, interesting networking options, and the stadium tour of this great area there. And we also have the keynote with the famous Polar. I think most of you should know her. If not, then it's a good idea to get in touch with her. She's really a famous person and one of the best security engineers I've ever met. So with that said, let's start with the agenda. We start with a demonstration of a case which has been automatically disrupted. Then we dive a little bit deeper on what attack disruption is actually, the impact it has, how it works, and then how you can enable it or get started with it if you're not there yet. We start with a little Teams poll. Buffy, can you enable it? We have 2 questions for the audience. Really happy if you want to answer it. So who has already the full Microsoft XDR stack in use? So really every product enabled, from Defender for Endpoint to Defender for Cloud Apps to MDI, all the products completely enabled.
And tested.
Yeah, not only with prior licenses, of course. Okay, that's a fair number.
Cool.
Thanks. We have a second and last question. Who has already experience with automated attack disruption in Microsoft Defender, or even noticed that it's there? Most of you guys. So I think we can talk about beer now, or wine, or good food. No, just kidding. Okay, interesting. Nice. I think then we start with the demonstration. You want to go ahead, Al?
Yes, I'm taking over the sharing and we'll share the portal. So you guys should see now some kind of incidents. Thank you for confirming that. If you go to the unified portal, XDR Microsoft, you will have the option to filter. So if you filter with tags, you should see, or maybe not, depends on the last incidents you received, the attack disruption tag. If you filter for that tag and you had a attack disruption in the past 30 days or 6 months, you will see that tags coming from the incidents. So if we do that a little bit more further in that way, you can see, okay, there we have a couple of incidents here in the portal during the last 6 months with different incidents and different attacks disruption options. So for example, here the first one, it has a tag also with business email compromise fraud, credential phish, and Defender realized, okay, this incident has a couple of alerts in following alerts, and has a couple of attacks which were made by the attacker. And I would like to show you the details of that incident, what happened exactly, and why did attack disruption pop in this specific case. Very nice labeled. So if you had some experience in the past with attack disruption, you will see that attack disruption here on the top, the red part, made some automated investigation or automated action, not automated investigation. You made some action and you have the chance just click directly on the action center. And we see here, okay, what happened on that incident during the last couple of days, or it depends on the time frame the attack was running. I disabled those 2 users. If you go back to the incidents, First of all, you see here in the details of the incident graph, of the security graph, that the Cameron V user is disabled already, and that's what the automated response action took place. So one account, you can see that here on the right-hand side, is contained, and that's based on the whole story here in the attack story. I like that part actually, the play attack story. That's not only available for attack disruption, it's also in different incidents, or in all the incidents. You will have the chance to go through the attack story and see, okay, what exactly was happening through the whole time frame of the incidents. You see also a summary of all the alerts. In that case, we had 27 alerts containing some suspicious activities with different severity levels based on high. Most of the alerts will be tagged as high severity because of the whole story, what happened in the backend. As well, a summary of the assets, which user was involved, which mailboxes, which apps. That's normal incident behavior. If we go back to the attack story, so first of all, we see there was an email coming in, classic email, and the user clicked this suspicious URL, which is labeled here as, I cannot highlight that at the moment, but you see, okay, that's from Cameron V at alpineskyhouse.co. He clicked on that link. Based on that, we can assume that he entered username, password as well, MFA. So MFA fraud also will be a part of it, of that whole story. And then very short after that, less than an hour, MDO removed the email from the user's mailbox. If we look at that details, we see that SAP was coming in from Defender for Office 365, so 0-hour auto purge, which is a feature which does post-breach options and removes malicious emails from your mailbox, because it was phish in a high confidence level. But for some reason, that email came through to the user, and at the end, he clicked on it. The attacker used anonymous IP address, a Tor browser, and came from a botnet in that case. So the threat intelligence feature from Microsoft is also involved in the whole story of attack disruption. Michael will talk about that a little bit later. But we see, okay, there was a IP address from a botnet used, and TI realized that and brings that in. Where was the logging coming in from? So the Cameron V was logging into Microsoft Azure as well, a couple of times trying, or also had successful attempts to log into Microsoft 365, such as Outlook or Word or whatever kind of application in Microsoft 365. Why is that important to know? Because in the attack story, we will see that there was a forward or an inbox rule created later on in the attack. But in the meantime, the alerts popped in with malicious IP addresses, anonymous IP addresses, again, Tor browser. You're aware of that. That's a very common scenario, not only for attack disruption, but it depends on the confidence level. Also, Mike will talk about that. When does attack disruption really pops in and is doing some automation in the backend? Again, threat intelligence was used here. It's called Azure AD, it's Entra ID for sure, but we should also consider Entra ID identity protection as a SKU or as a feature which needs to be configured or should be configured to have the full advantage of the whole attack disruption. Because not only the Defender stack at itself, XDR, also Entra ID is a very, very important part to configure based on what kind of risk level the user has, and attack disruption is also calculating that within. So when we go further, we see there is again a Tor IP used, and it was a successful authentication from suspicious IP. And what happens next? The attacker or the system created a suspicious inbox rule. And we're talking here about business email compromise. So kind of financial workflows. You can think about, you have a SAP platform where it sends out, for example, emails for payrolls and stuff like that to be approved. And if we do some attacks between this business email workflows, to say it like that, you will be able to do some payments or do some payroll properties change or whatever. So business email compromise is one of the first attack disruption options which was implemented by Microsoft to protect customers against this business email compromise frauds. The attacker created a suspicious email mailbox rule. You can see that here on the BEC financial fraud alert. If you scroll down here, the object name is also called like that, new inbox rule. And if you try to do that with your standard user account, for example, if I log in with PowerShell to connect-exchange online, create or using PowerShell to a new inbox rule, you will be able to do that without any administrative rights. So every user can do that based on of course, of the connection of PowerShell to remote PowerShell to Exchange Online. But in general, you can do that. As soon as you got the email address or the username, password, and multi-factor authentication token, you will be able to do that. And that's what the attacker does in that specific case here. If you go a little bit further, we see that there is somewhere, yeah, that's very interesting. If you look at what happened, a suspicious inbox rule that hides incoming email messages was created in a risky Azure Active Directory or Enter ID session. So this inbox rule was with a couple of parameters, hiding all the emails or just move there forward and don't deliver it to the Outlook. That's quite easy to do. And that was done by that attacker. And at the end as well, a suspicious email was sent by the business email compromised related user out to different user, maybe for a specific approval, doing, okay, hey, launching our eco-friendly campaign, delivered on-prem external, and then also suspicious SAP authentication were in place. And during this time, if you go to the first alert, it was short before 10 a.m. in the morning, and all that happened between, let's say 1.5 hour, 11:23 on the SAP authentication. That incident has a confidence level, and that confidence level allowed attack disruption to do some actions. In that case, disabling the user. And that's a part of the demo for now. But let me know if you have questions. We see here in the incident graph, the user is disabled. That's how attack disruption incident looks like. Okay, let's go to the slide quickly. So why do we need automatic attack disruption? Actually, the incidents showed it very, very briefly. In just the past few years, those cyber attacks have become more and more sophisticated than ever before. So virtually unrecognizable from the attackers of the 2010s. If you look at the left-hand side, it was in general more one-time attempt to target system. It was not calculated. It was a very broad targeting, but not really didn't have the same impact as it has of today. Usually, these targets came from a single system, from a single domain, from a single attacker, very, very limited attacks. And that changed through the last couple of years, especially, I would say, or what we see in the last 2 to 3 or 4 years because of generative AI and AI, which came in. It allowed attackers to do more sophisticated attacks, doing more calculated attacks, and the impact is very, very different than in 2010. So it has a catastrophic impact on the whole business. If we think about it again on the business email compromise part, business email compromise can be such a huge impact of how the business can continue. And attackers that they're using or used days before impacting organization, but today thousands of devices can be encrypted in very less than 5 minutes. So that's a very big difference. Therefore, even if your security team is operating as its very best, and we assume that they do, and they try to fight against attackers, there is often little they can do to protect your organization from a really large scale of damage. So if you go to that slide very, very quickly, both volumes and cost increased in the last years. Ransomware and business email compromise attackers account really 60% of cyber incidents. You can have the slide afterwards. But what I see here on that slide, so if you have a business email compromise attacks, it costs you in average nearly $5 million. So it depends on the organization size, of course, but that's a number which afraids me so much. So especially when you're a small company, even if you're a larger company, it's very expensive. But if you're a small company, you won't be able to pay anything. Maybe you don't have to pay $5 million, but even if you have to pay $250,000 for a case, it can really break your whole business. With that, how does it work? Michael?
Yeah, there is a question in the chat from Darren. That's a very good question, and I don't have a perfect answer for you, because all the attacks we usually tried in our lab, most of them did not work in the few days before this session when we tried to do a live demonstration. It's not that easy anymore to create a sophisticated attack where the system really, let's say, detects a regular attack and not something which could be related to trials or to benign positives from admins trying to figure out how the system works. It's not that easy. We can provide you with a blog post at the end of the session from another MVP which has been successful to create such a test case, but there is no guarantee that this will still work tomorrow. I don't have the answer for you, unfortunately, how to simulate attack disruption actively. Yeah, let's have a look at the under the hood, how this stuff is working and why this is of interest. Attack disruption is basically an automated response capability that stops the attack while it is happening. So all the other stuff we had before is happening post-attack or maybe mid-attack, but not at the early stage. And why is that? That's the reason why still a lot of the phishing attacks or even the ransomware attacks are so powerful. Because at the ransomware attack, the only thing which can protect you from being completely encrypted is the time factor. So how quick will you be able to stop a running attack? And there is no software product or company which is saving you 100% from a ransomware attack. So be aware that you can be attacked, assume breach, and thinking of that, you need to be very, very quick with stopping such an attack. That's where attack disruption with its features jumps in. The detection of a, let's say, sophisticated attack is the first step. So fundamental to defend your XDR disruption is the reliability to correlate and yet to correlate different signals. So the Defender XDR products, they all have their different, let's say, signals to detect attack vectors and attacks. And the more products you have enabled of yours in your Defender XDR product suite, the more signals can be correlated together to then detect such a complex attack we have seen in demonstration, for example. So while this is not a marketing upselling session, by the way, if you have E3, you're completely, let's say, out of scope. You have to get E5 or E3 with the E5 security add-on, right, Al? If I'm not mistaken. So then you're good to use attack disruption,
right.
but you need the right license first. That's the first thing. Then the second step, the effective disruption, is what we're talking about today. This happens automatically, and we will see when this will happen. But basically, it's when a lot and enough and the right signals have been correlated, different alerts attacking the same type of identities or devices can be correlated, then we have a high level of confidence. And if this happens, the attack disruption is going to contain or isolate the user or device which is affected. And as this attack spreads, also the contained devices or even the user accounts will be increasing. What happens after is what you're still using today. You are going to investigate what happened under the hood. So the investigation phase and also the recovery phase is not covered by attack disruption. So this is still a human operated or a human co-pilot operated task if you're using Security Copilot to help investigating the whole depth of the attack, what really happened in detail, and the recovery phase to get, let's say, devices and users up and running again, and to make sure that this type of attack can maybe happen less in the future. Those two steps have still to be completed by your security engineers and analysts. Automatic attack disruption, or AAD, is composed of signal collection, as I already told, from very different systems, not only Defender, as Al mentioned, it's also the Azure activities, it's also Entra ID, it's everything which basically connects to Sentinel as well. So not only Defender, also the intelligence from Microsoft Threat Intelligence is incorporated. Then all that stuff gets correlated in the advanced incident correlation feature of XDR. And on top of that, we have a customer grading, which you can decide by telling Microsoft, hey, this was a false positive, and this one too, and this one too, but this one was true positive. This also has a bit of influence on the confidence level. The confidence level needs to be at 99% as we speak here. I don't know what happens in the next few months, but for now, if a defender is sure by 99% of signal to noise ratio that this is a sophisticated attack, it will start by containing the affected entities, users, devices, IP addresses. So these are the scenarios which are currently supported as we speak. A lot of them are on a lot of others, sorry for that, are on the roadmap. And what's actually possible is disruption can contain a user device, a device like an onboarded Defender for server device, an end user Windows 11, Windows 10 device, It can contain a user, like disabling it. It can also contain IP addresses from managed or unmanaged devices. And it can, for example, also disable malicious OAuth apps, which is also increasing in terms of attacks we see in the wild. Like administrators didn't configure the OAuth consent correctly, so the user is able to give consent to malicious apps. Usually the user doesn't have a clue what he's clicking when he clicks yes, allow consent. So this also enables attack disruption, enables automatically disabling of malicious OAuth apps with suspicious permissions on the user, for example. So what kind of automation is available today beside the attack disruption? We also have the SOAR, which is there since we have a Sentinel and since we have flows in XDR, like we can automatically create actions out of playbooks. If something happens, if we have an incident with this and this and this type, we start our playbooks, which disable the user. Okay, so but this is something we need to actively create and also monitor. There is not a lot of intelligence behind the scenes, others than you have sophisticated thousands of lines of KQL queries, which can be intelligent. That's from that point of view. But still, this is a great feature in combination. If you have a confidence level which is below 99%, but you still want to disable the user by yourself, then SOAR by using the playbooks in Sentinel, for example, is a very, very good solution. The automatic investigations you may have seen in Defender portal when you have an alert or an incident, you have enabled the feature. Defender automatically starts on the endpoint, for example, to investigate the details about the incident, like collecting all the files, collecting all the processes which have been started in sequence to get a big picture and also under the hood detailed set of sequences what happened. And if you have Security Copilot, then this type of investigation is then being analyzed and displayed for you in a confident level. So you don't need to dig through hundreds of processes and files to examine what happened under the hood. This has some impact, of course, if you're using this, and I'm talking about a very, very specific impact. I mentioned at the start that time is golden factor. So how quick are we able to disrupt an active attack? And the automation proportion is crucial here because usually the attack is disrupted under 20 minutes if it's an attack from this type. This can be a ransomware attack. This can also be an attack of this type, which is user has an email, he clicks on a link, he doesn't have a phishing resistant MFA method configured, or he wasn't forced to do it. So he goes on the website, enter his credentials. He even enters his security number of his authenticator because it's not phishing resistant. So adversary in the middle attack is happening right after, and this shows an active customer case where the attack was disrupted under 20 minutes. And if you think about engineers in your company, you have to be very, very, let's say, quick and knowledge and on the screen to have that quick answer for your attack, right? Because this type of attack is hard to detect with just KQL queries. There are a few numbers. I'm not that big fan of numbers, but they are still impressive. Just to make it clear again, it doesn't get disrupted automatically if Defender doesn't have a confidence level of 99% or more. That's actually the case. So that's why you might not see a lot of the incidents we showed you in the slides and the demos. The reason why is Microsoft doesn't want to, let's say, float your incidents in as automatically disrupted identities and devices if they are not 100% sure, or at least 99%. As the system gets evolved with more AI based information aggregation and correlation, I'm pretty sure that this 99% will drop maybe to 96, to 95, maybe even to 90% confidence, where you as a customer maybe also can have a switch to move back and forth, where your confidence level is okay to automatically stop user identities or devices from working because of such an attack. Al, can you talk about the new features and the requirements to have that?
Sure. I guess we have plus minus 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes left on our presentation. But yes, if you follow Microsoft Security Block, you probably have seen this. Last week it was announced that there are 2 new features were popping in attack disruption. So the first one is selective isolation of critical assets. What do we understand under critical assets? It's domain controllers, DNS servers, DHCP servers, and however, if you do attack disruption on these very critical business systems, it's usually not the best idea to disrupt these systems or to block the system, to contain them, because it can have a huge impact on the business operations. And that's why the new feature is doing a device role-based granular containment. That means it will or tries to block on specific malicious activity, basically on the network functionality. So MD needs to be configured correct way, like network protection and stuff like that. It will stop move laterally, so lateral movement, and try to block the escalation of the attack. And as well, it is doing a compromise of critical assets, really just to filter that down, not doing the whole block of the system. And the second option is the automatic isolation of IP addresses of unmanaged devices. That's also why the device discovery should be enabled. We'll see that in a second. It tries to identify malicious IP addresses from unmanaged devices, which are not onboarded to Defender for Endpoint, but they are discovered in the system, and they will be blocked on the system that these unmanaged devices are no longer able to talk to managed endpoints. So that's those 2 new features which were released last week. If you go to the next slide, we can quickly talk about a couple of prerequisites. What do you need to configure on the MDE stack? Defender for Endpoint, of course, yeah, for all the products you need proper licenses, but make sure you have Defender for Endpoint configured in a good shape. So best practice, good practice. If you need some support, just feel free to direct message me or Michael itself. We have a bunch of great configurations which needs to be done. For example, as I also say, its network protection needs to be enabled and stuff like that. The remediation level of the devices. Look at your device groups. What exactly is the configured? Do you have full or semi-configured that attack disruptions can do automated actions? Standard discovery, as I said before, for unmanaged devices, this needs to be enabled. It's a prerequisite as well. On the Defender for Identity stack, deploy all the sensors to DCs, but not only to DCs. If you have Entra ID Connect in place and CA servers, like certificate servers, also deploy this sensors to all the systems you have in your Active Directory. Then also the action account needs to be configured. It could be the automated action account or your own action accounts, which you provide during the setup. Next slide. On the MDA stack, so Defender for Cloud Apps, SAP governance should be activated if it's there, and the Office 365 connector, because of the business email compromise, for example, we have seen in the demo, it needs to have access to this OAuth apps as well, and bringing in all the incidents and actions what happening on the Defender for Cloud Apps. On Defender for Office 365, make sure your mailboxes are hosted in the cloud because of SAP functionality. So automatic investigation can also pop in, logging of all the mailbox audit logs and safe link policies. That's a requirement as well. So those are a couple of configurations, prerequisites you should consider when you would like to have automatic disruption active, and in case of something happens with a 99% confidence level, that it really can automate, block users, contain systems. That's required. Okay, with that, we had 41 minutes, I guess. I would like to mention again the Swiss Microsoft Security Summit. If you don't have a ticket yet and you're very close to it, Switzerland, it's not a hybrid event, to be honest. Maybe next time we will see this year we do it in person, and we expect, let's say, more or less 200 people. It will be great if you can join us. And if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, to come off mute right now. Provide feedback on the session. We're always happy with feedback.